Good morning, and here we are. It's the last day of our XD Daily Challenge. I'm Marc Risen. I'll be hosting for the next 25-30 minutes. It's great to see everybody. Let's just say hi to a couple people who are joining us so far in the chat. Chuck, Enrique, good to see you. Neon, nice to see you. Onur, hi Samantha. Awesome. So I know today is the last day. Yeah, I'm pretty sad too, pretty bummed about it, Neon, but hopefully we can do this again. I think that, for me overall, just seeing the progress in the work and how people have been able to get in some great submissions over the past kind of 8 to 7 days over this daily challenge has been incredible, just to see how people's exposure to mobile devices, web devices, smartwatches, all those experiences have been able to turn into a great representation of work. For those of you that were spending extra time after our sessions and continuing to evolve your work, that's great. And it's incredible just to see how motivated everybody is. So really excited. We do have our final session today on our prompt, which is doing a music app. So for day 1, we focused on Discover. Day 2, we focused on the Play feature. And today we'll be focusing on Share. And then what we can do is we can kind of connect some of those experiences and create a prototype, which is where XD really excels. If you're just joining us, you can still register. It'd still be great just to have you so that when we do this challenge again, it'd be great to have people be able to be on the email list. So I'll cover that real quick. So just on my screen, we have the Daily Creative Challenge website. And you can enter your name and email, and that's how you'll be receiving the prompts. Every morning, 9 a.m., they show up in your inbox. As soon as we fire this up again, it'll be great to see how the challenge evolves, what are the new challenges that we come up with, what are the new experiences that we'll be exploring. So make sure to sign up. Also, we have the Slack channel, which will continue with feedback, which has been a great way for the community to kind of engage after our session and to submit work and basically create conversations around their work and provide feedback. So for those of you that have been really, really active in the Slack channel and sharing your work, also sharing the updates, it's just been great to see how the projects have evolved. Olivier, thanks for joining us. Durka, thanks for coming in again. Lucian. Hello, Mitch. Hope you're having a good week. James. Also, Jake Spiller and some other people who I've seen some work. It's going to be really great just to see how everything's progressed over the next day. So it is the final day, which is kind of bummed. It's the final day. But let's go ahead and jump into the work. I do want to do some portfolio reviews. I want to give some time just to go over some of the submissions that we received. So I'll keep those on my screen here. I've got this sorted right now. So this is the XD Daily Challenge tag, which is how all the work will kind of surface. And I have this surfaced by most recent. So if you're just submitting your work or you've just submitted your work, this will show up in here. And I just kind of went down the line and picked out some portfolios. So we can go ahead and jump into that. This one comes from Prince. I was really excited to see this work. Overall, really nice representation, Prince, just showing kind of the 3 main focus areas with home, discover, and playing. I love kind of the nice, clean use of the UI. The imagery, the colors, everything has a really, really nice uniform look. And it's great to see some of the close-up shots that you're showing here in some of the larger views. One of the things I found really cool was just how you floated the player in this, and it was really nice change. I think I've seen this on Google and maybe some other kind of web browser experiences, but it's really cool just to see how you've elevated it from kind of the sticky component over the content. So really nice touch there. As I mentioned, great use of color. I love the containerization and the Discover fields and how you're kind of bundling all that content. Also, you got some good albums in here. Starboy is a good track. Play feature is really cool, just kind of reducing to the just the playing focus, but also the way that you've kind of isolated it in the avatar. It's a little refreshing just to see maybe it not a square as the album art cover. So really nice work, Prince. Definitely appreciate it. Great use of color palette. Really wonderful representation of your project. So thank you. We appreciate it. Let's go next. So this one is from Kawa. So we got a player for a music app. It looks like we're starting out with the play experience. We've got a hint of some navigation to go back to the playlist. It looks like you're probably thinking about this on maybe an iPhone 6 or 7. And we're using the background blur as well as showing the album art. It looks like you're hinting at a little bit of scrollability here, which is intriguing to me because, you know, generally when you're in an album or you're playing a song, you could be playing song by song. So maybe this is kind of a swipe experience that you can swipe to the next song. So that was interesting. And then we've got the categories, and we're kind of grouping those categories. Looking like maybe we need to have some considerations for accessibility here, just to make sure that the icons are absolutely visible over all the content. Anytime you're using rich photography or images and then you want to float UI over it, you want to make sure that you think about all the possible cases. You know, what happens if the image is actually blue or almost the same blue here? You want to make sure that the UI is able to show up over that. Good use of probably repeat grid here. Cool. So, you know, oh, this is actually a Android device. Sorry, I said iPhone 6 or 7. So a couple things to consider. Just, you know, I really appreciate the playlist and the background arrow here. You know, you might be able to evolve the design or the player experience by pushing your accessibility and the contrast levels, and just how your components or UI is actually going to show up over the work. So really nice job. We appreciate it. Thanks for submitting. This is from John. So John's doing a Jams music app. So a really interesting take on just having the Nike sponsorship. Great use of photography here in the background. Really nice. Really like the dark transition. Looks like we're hinting at a little bit of kind of the Spotify color, maybe like the Spotify form vocabulary with the dark gray player as well. Really nice representation of work, John. It's great just to see the 3 screens. Really nice use of clean UI. You know, simplifying here by having just kind of the play icon and then the track list. Simple player track progress indicator here, as well as the UI components. So awesome submission. And then here we have another submission from Olivier. Really nice composition. You know, maybe I'm a sucker for these, but I always appreciate seeing the content in situ, especially when you have the content in the desk or in the atmosphere kind of relate to the subject matter. It's a really good way to kind of market your project and show that you're thinking about all aspects of the design. So AI waves. Looking at Discover here, we've got playlists. Then we've got some of the UI components down here. And we're showing this on an iPhone X. So really nice. I remember your submission yesterday, Olivier. Really great way to evolve your design. I would be cognizant of using kind of the iPhone X standard font sizes here. This looks a little bit larger than maybe the normal font that's used there. I love the fact that you're taking the color and bleeding it all the way into the background. You're showing a lot of varying color choices here with each of these UI components. It might be worth simplifying your color palette a little bit to avoid maybe distracting or cognitive load for the user, so that, you know, when I close and open my eyes, I immediately snap to the screen and I start to see all the reds and the greens. And, you know, one of the things you want to consider is what's the most important thing on the screen that you want your users or customers to focus on. And so is it where the play and the heart icons are, or is it the content and the song? But you get to kind of decide that based off of kind of the user feedback. It'd be great to see how you evolve this design down here. You know, if you are using this color palette, you may find an opportunity to bring some of these colors down into the actual navigation for selected and non-selected states. So really nice submission. This one is Deep Music by Lakshay. Nice use of kind of the dark cyan and the dark UI. So we're looking at Deep Music. I love the exploration on the logo. Nice bright spot color. Maybe we can zoom back a little bit just so we can get the full view here. So we've got chill, hip hop, Discover. Cool, nice use of the avatars. I like the just the overall organization of the content. Very easy to read. I can kind of imagine what it would look like to basically go through and tap on this experience. Good use of the blur background. Nice subtle, excuse me, nice subtle colors on the interface for playing the music. Also, the hint of the scrollability here is a really nice touch. Really nice proposal, Lakshay. And we've got, let's see, from Onur. Let's see. So here we're looking at some more submissions for the music app. Nice use of clean and white UI. We've got avatars for kind of the discovery and the stream. This component here looks a little bit small. It might be worth, you know, to me, it's hard to assess these on a screen versus actually putting them on a device and being able to look at what the actual scale is. But just double check here, you know, generally like minimum pixel size is anywhere between 11 to 13 pixels on the X. So just double check those font sizes and make sure that you're using that. Also for icons, anywhere between 16 to 24 pixels is a really good size just to think about for clickability and affordances. So really clean, really enjoy the filtering up here. I love the color block in the back for the selected state. Nice clean submission, great body of work. Really nice, Omar.
Hey, Mark, refresh that page real quick. See anything different?
Nope.
Okay. All good.
Awesome. So we'll look at one more and then we'll jump into the work. We've got Tempest here by Jake Spiller. Really nice use of kind of a color block in the background, floating the search component over that with kind of a nice dark to light color. It's really great just to see the fidelity here and how you know, the transition is very smooth. There's nothing that's kind of jarring. Everything kind of floats and works together really, really well. We've got some color overlays to kind of pull the content forward. Really curious about what this button does. Looks like it makes a tornado or hurricane. Awesome exploration. Really great to see the project come, you know, kind of complete full circle with your colors and your typography usage. Great compositions. Yeah, really nice job, Jake. Awesome. Thanks for submitting. Okay, so let me full screen this here. So we've got just to kind of recap where we left off yesterday, we started with some early icon explorations. We've let that icon kind of evolve. Yesterday we spent some time going into the discovery experience. I showed everyone in the community how to really quickly create maybe some potential custom album artwork by using the blend curve in Illustrator and then our family of colors that we've decided to use for the app. We're showing the persistent player experience at the bottom with our tab navigation. We've got kind of the iPhone X big bold header displays up here. And then what I did is yesterday I kind of evolved a couple examples of the player experience. Hi Mark, thanks for joining us. And you know, for me this was just an iterative phase. It was a good way to kind of think about all the designs, think about, you know, if I'm showing the purple player tab here, would I want that to transition into the full screen view, which is how I started to explore this screen over here. Whereas yesterday I kind of landed on something that was maybe in lines more with iTunes Music. I also played with the volume control, thinking of kind of the system volume and how hard it is to kind of swipe up and down on the volume horizontally versus vertically within reach zones. So it doesn't really fit within the composition as well as I'd like, but it was an interesting exploration and way to just kind of think of something a little bit differently. And then in the played view, I started to explore how we would launch the share experience, or if I was listening to a song, how I'd like to share that with my friends. And I added a tab here to also maybe view the track list. And the track list could basically just come up as a action sheet that comes up over the current player. In this view, you kind of would lose the player experience and that you're covering up the UI. And so being inspired by Prince's submission, I thought, oh, well, maybe maybe there'd be a way that if you do tap into the track list, that the player could kind of minimize and come into a floated component over the UI. So not necessarily entirely sure how that would be implemented, but it's a fun way to just at least think about what the experience could be here. So I'm going to start to connect these a little bit. So we're starting on the Discover screen, which is mainly going to be this component here for Browse. So just for consistency's sake, I'm going to make sure that I name this Browse over Discover. And then what we can do is we can start to explore some of the recent albums or look at frequently played. So in this case, we're playing Lane 8 right now, which is this song. So if we go into the prototype view, we can say that by tapping this, could do a push-up experience. Let's just double check if that's what we want to do. So probably not push-up as much as we'd want it to be. Let's see. Definitely not push up, but probably slide up so that it's over the content. Double check that real quick. Yep. The way we would probably envision this happening in the actual product is the entire image would stretch to fill over the background, and then the content would kind of expand and fill. And then while we're in the player, what we want to do is start to explore what the share experience is. So just in the effort of staying focused, what I did do is I did some sketches. I'll show you those real quick just to show you what I'm kind of hinting at. So we got my sketches pulled up over here. This is what I was thinking for the share experience, that if you tap the share, it would pull up maybe a series of your friends' avatars. Maybe you could filter those avatars. There could be search capability, and then maybe kind of the running message list of the other shares that you've had with your friends. This is my sketch process. These are the markers that I use. These are Copics. It's a really nice way just to create a nice clean wash over the designs. And just, there we go. So let's go ahead and build that screen real quick. So I'm thinking that this is probably going to be a good template for us to, based off of what I have in the sketch with the avatars, I think that that's probably going to be a good foundation screen. So we can say that this can be share. We'll have our favorite friends list. Maybe these are people that we frequently share music with. Let's see. And then I'm kind of showing a list of maybe recent conversations. So we'll just call this recent shares. In the spirit of sticking with our 8-pixel grid, I'm going to scale these up a little bit larger than the ones that are floating at the top. So these will be variations in size and scale. And I'm just going to change the color just so I can see this real quick. Also, I'm fairly happy with the size of this text right here. So I'm going to use that as the basis. I'm constantly copying and pasting components from other areas of the design that I've done in an effort to keep it consistent, but also to make sure that I'm not spending too much time designing unique experiences. So let's just have a bunch of Pauls in here. Maybe something like that. Create a quick repeat grid. Okay. So let's say that, excuse me, we're in the player. We're probably on this screen. We're going to tap this share icon, and that's going to take us to this share screen. Again, that'll probably be a slide up experience. Could also just, for simplicity's sake, we could make this just a quick dissolve. Dissolve is a really good way to just transition quickly between screens. So click this, play. So let's say we go to share. So then share is going to give us our list of avatars, our list of friends, recent favorites. And, you know, I think it's probably important for us to think about, okay, we know that we're sharing lane 8, but how can we ensure that what we're going to share here is going to be the lane 8 track? So I'm gonna go ahead and drop in some avatars here. Profiles. Can just drop in some quick profile photos. Cool. Paul landed on Paul. We can ungroup this grid real quick. Make this Samantha. Make this Ritz. Put that back into the background. This one can be me. This one can be, it's gonna say Sam again. Let's say Amy, cool. Okay, so we've got a list of friends there, we've got some tracks, and maybe one of the things we can do, I'm wondering if it would be interesting to kind of maybe pull this component up here for the share. I think what I'll do, since this is primarily a selection screen, I think what I'll do is I'll make sure that once you're sharing, the most important thing you can do is probably select the person that you want to share with. Just referring back to my sketches. Let's see if I have a smaller, yep, I do. So we'll use this smaller header library that I have here. Let me just resize some of this stuff. Get that out of there. So often when you're using an iPhone X, they do start out with larger title sizes, but then once you get into the smaller views, they actually scale down fairly nicely. And so let's say that we're actually sharing this with Paul. We'll bring our system bar in here just for consistency's sake. We're probably going to have to add an input field. Maybe we can keep Paul's avatar in here. So let's say we tapped Paul to share. We've got a message. And then what I'll do, we can probably start to create what would be a message thread. And one of the things I had in my sketches is how to kind of show maybe the album and the music detail in a way that, you know, maybe this isn't just about having text and conversations, maybe it's legitimately only about sharing music and music with your friends. So I did a little sketch of basically dividing that container in a way. So let's get that border out of there. We can put our 16 pixels here. And let's go back to our Soundly artwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a couple clipping masks here and how I want to kind of divide this. So I'll create that. Maybe we can put the Lane 8 album artwork in there. Let's do it like this. So let's do a quick mask there. Drop that in. And then maybe this can be something like, we want something that's going to be a light enough color block but not necessarily too distracting. We can add our smaller subtle shadow, and we can start to bring in maybe some of the what I'm looking for right now is maybe the right dimension, but let's just start here with Lane 8. No captain. Let's actually reverse that, so we're actually sharing the song. We've got about 3 to 5 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can, enough to create enough of the idea for what we're trying to achieve here. Probably going to run into some scaling issues here fairly quickly because we're using such a small area. So, you know, we can imagine if this song is really, really long, like Bohemian Rhapsody, it's probably going to run off in ellipse size. Which is okay. We can start to indicate that by actually just already truncating what that text would be. And then maybe what we can do in here is add some type of share. One of the things that I thought would be fun, because maybe this isn't trying to replace any type of chat experience, is maybe we could add like a simple reaction component here. Let's go larger. And so maybe what if you do send a track with somebody or you share it with them, we could kind of show a small emoji reaction in there. Let's make that 13. So maybe if I were to send this track to Paul, he could kind of simply maybe do a long press on it and just say, hey, you know, this is really cool, thumbs up. So I'll kind of leave this here for now. We're just about out of time. I do want to try to pull together some of these screens real quick, just to kind of get a feel for maybe what this experience is going to be. I do feel like I'm forgetting stuff right now, but that's okay. It's important just to kind of go through this experience and then see where it lands. We know that this would probably go into a dissolve. And so we can, let's see, let's have this also go back to the Discover screen. let's see where we're at. Click play, full screen. Click share, click Paul. So there's probably a few UX gaps here. There's probably a few things that we'd want to consider. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of achieve the outcomes of the screens and maybe what this would look like. One of the things that I'm thinking that's missing is, you know, when you're sharing this track, you want to make sure that you're able to kind of pull an artifact or have something that you can actually feel like you're sharing. And it's important that that shows up somewhere. Right now, what's happening is we're going from the song that we're sharing, and then we want to share it, and then we're selecting the person. But what's missing for me right now is kind of, how do I know what the track is that I'm sharing right now? And so maybe that would be a good opportunity for you guys to think about and explore what that would look like in that gap. I've got a couple ideas. I think what I'm really looking for is either when I'm in this screen here, or yeah, probably when I get to this screen here, it might be a good opportunity to kind of float an object that shows the song with the album and the track that I want to share with the actual share button, or a way that I can say, yep, this is going to be the content that I then share over to Paul. So something for you guys to consider. I'm definitely curious to see what people come up with over the next day or so. I will be active in the Slack channel today, so let me know if you have any questions at me. If you have any questions for me specifically, it'd be great to hear from you. I've really appreciated the community and all the work and the time that everybody's spent over the last couple weeks. Also, huge high fives to the Adobe team and everyone that was able to get me involved for doing this. It's been a lot of fun. Real quick, if you want to share what we captured today, I will make sure to take these screens and let's just make sure that we've got, so this is player 5. This is share. This is share Paul. So we'll go ahead and export these real quick. I'll show you how to upload them into Behance, and that's the best way to make sure that your work's visible. So we'll export selected. We'll have that end up in our XD music app. Let's go back to Behance. And then I'll edit this project. Upload files. You can also create a new project. We've got our 3 screens here. Click open. So those will show up at the bottom of all the artwork. When you do save or share, if this is the first time you're doing it, just make sure it's under UI and UX, and make sure that the discoverability is for XD Challenge. And that's it. Really looking forward to seeing all the submissions. Thank you so much. Jake, thanks for joining us. Kevin, Neslihan, everybody, it's been great to work with you. Looking forward to seeing the work. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.